This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield.
You have a rich person's name. Like, you should be a billionaire with the name Winfield.
And co-host Marnie Winfield.
Checking the microphones, going good.
It is the 27th of October, 2022. My name's Corey Winfield, and Marnie Winfield is working. Somebody's got to pay the rent around here, you know? No, but joining me, though, today, very special guest with me is Noah Powell. Noah, how are you today?
Good. Feeling fresh.
Well, you're a very special guest today, Noah. I don't think you've ever been on the podcast. You might have been part of a podcast one time, but you're with Lifeboat Recovery. Why don't you want to introduce yourself? I'll let you do that.
Okay. Well, let's start off with I have been on podcasts before, and I have been kicked off a podcast before. So me as a person, I have a lot of contrarian beliefs. I'm pretty good at arguing. People should tell me I should be a lawyer. However, I am a financial professional. I've been practicing for 5 years. I currently don't hold any licenses, and I currently don't advise anybody financially. However, I do work with businesses in the Lansing community to help develop financial strategies that turn into marketing and management strategies that affect the substance use disorder community.
Ah, okay. Now that's a word I'm familiar with. That was a lot of big words in there. Like, how would you explain that to a 4-year-old? Because that's what you're talking to me now.
Let's say Uncle Noah, because I'm an uncle now. Uncle Noah takes the money that businesses get from grants and privatized business, and he helps them use their bank accounts and finances to create marketing and management strategies to help people get off drugs, kids.
Nice. So is a part of that putting up billboards on the side of the highway that say don't drink and drive?
A lot of those are ran by MDHHS or the different coalitions that we talked about before the show. But yeah, I have worked with major ad slots to get stuff out there. Like Unite to Face Addiction was probably the most recent memory.
Yeah, we're familiar with them. Of course, we were at the rally, and we'll talk about the rally coming up in a little bit, but we have COVID talk first. But I want to go back to the billboards for a minute, because if you get a chance to, I just want you to kind of throw it out there, maybe see if it sticks. Say the don't drink and drive billboard. Like, is that working? Like, how do they, because I know in the grant world, it's all about numbers and stats and stuff like that. Everybody wants to see that kind of stuff. Do they like just get people pulling over, and the cop pulls up and like, what are you doing? And be like, well, I saw that sign that said don't drink and drive, and I really wasn't sure because I had a couple beers at the bar. So I was just going to sit here and wait.
Well, it's
Zero
like
times that happened?
You watch a McDonald's commercial. I mean, what do you get out of that? It's just a reminder.
I haven't been to McDonald's in years. I don't know.
Yeah,
but don't you think?
Because it's not. Yeah, it's not when you're sitting here driving that you're gonna think about McDonald's and then go to McDonald's. It's when you see the commercial and you say, oh yeah, there's that McDonald's up the street. I go there probably once every couple of months. Hey, let's go to McDonald's today, right? It's a very low threshold for it. So I mean, when you start drinking, right,
So you think, the guy's gonna remember the billboard and go, oh wait, hold on, don't drink and drive today, because I saw that billboard.
Yeah, they'll remember how they felt when they see the billboard.
But don't you think when they're intoxicated and driving, they see that billboard, they're like, stupid.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
I mean, probably.
Just as a person who, you're an idea guy too. Like, to me, it would seem better to have something up there like, hey, step 1, call your PIHP if you're drinking and driving, maybe. Or hey, instead of drinking and driving, or hey, listen to a recovery podcast. It's possible to have fun in recovery. And I'm just throwing stuff out there because there's that one that just says recover. And I can't even read what it says, but it's nationwide. I saw it on a football game. It's just like recover. I don't even know what it says. You can barely read it. And it's just like, I guess that's better than don't drink and drive.
No, here's what they should do. It should be prison showers, and it's a guy dropping the soap.
There you go.
And it says, don't drink and drive. Or like
Billy,
a guy's like picking up a beer and they kick him in the nuts. That's how you feel when you're drinking and driving.
just a casket. Because I was in some psychology class or something.
Yeah.
And it said something about people are motivated by fear. So throw a casket up there because I unfortunately was arrested for drinking and driving. The scary part is I don't remember. Drinking and driving is something that I didn't normally do. If you would have pulled me over on the way to the liquor store the next morning, I'm sure I would have blown over. But when you become such an alcoholic like I was, like you actually felt normal when you had a certain amount of alcohol, and like you did not feel normal with like you're shaking and you're sick and you're puke. You can't keep water down. It's horrible. So you finally get some alcohol and you're just like, okay, like I don't know if I could pass a test. Then I'm not sure, but I'm not saying that I drank and then went and got more. But like on the way there though, yeah, I was probably going to blow over. But I would never drink and I liked alcohol too much, so I wouldn't drink and drive. And like I said, the scary part of it is I don't remember. There was no reason for me to go anywhere. Like I blacked out. And thank God, that I didn't kill anybody because like, I think it was my lawyer or therapist or one of them told me, they're like, dude, you could be in prison right now and not even remember what you did. Like you could be doing 20 years and not even remember. You could have killed somebody. And I was like, yeah, thank God I did not. And unfortunately, there are people out there that it does happen to. And so, yeah, the don't drink and drive billboard would have been great, but I don't remember. Like there was no reason for me to go anywhere. I had a half gallon sitting on my counter. There was no reason for me to leave the house. Like I can't even make sense of it. So it's kind of scary, And so just saying, hey, don't drink and drive, that clearly I didn't just get I don't know, man. It was really, really messed up. But
You know what it should be? It should be like, and you were going to get catfished. Then show some really ugly dude.
Yeah, I wasn't even. I don't know. There was no reason. I don't know. I needed absolutely nothing.
If this chick looks pretty, you should not be driving.
Part of the time, I think I was going to a meeting, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I thought I'd been messed up.
Going to pick up some gay.
No, just going to an AA meeting.
Oh, for sure.
Is what I thought. I was like, well, maybe I went there because they said that my car drove around here and through this way, which they were saying I was driving on roads that didn't even connect. So part of me was still doubting it, and until I saw the smashed front end of my car where I hit a dumpster, apparently, and I was like, oh,
really? Yeah.
The whole time I'm in jail, I'm like, man, these MFers, like they're trying to railroad me and blah, blah, blah. And then I thought, well, the cops came over and smashed my car in, like teach me a lesson. And then I finally, that acceptance part came to. And I just was like, oh, like, no, I probably was driving. And oh my God, like I'm glad that I didn't kill anybody. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me was going to jail and actually having consequences for it. So, but I don't know. It's a scary thing.
The time you get caught is usually like the 10th time you've done it.
Yeah. But it's not anything that I was just like, I'm drunk, I'm driving, who cares, man? Like I was never that kind of guy because there are people out there like, man, I drink 10 beers at the bar every Friday and drive home.
Yeah, I mean how I landed up getting a charge was walking home. Because it was a small town. Yeah, no, it's like what are we doing here? Because like I was walking home and I got harassed by the cops and they said, you're drunk and disorderly, and it's just like, that's pretty unique, guys, because I was literally doing the right thing. Like I got in an argument, it got heated, and I said, you know what, this is dumb. Nobody's fighting today, nobody's breaking shit. I'm gonna walk home and I'm gonna do the right thing. So it's like, what are we perpetuating here? I mean, a lot of people see those billboards, a lot of people, talk to cops or whatever it is, and they're just like, well, it's me versus them. And it's just like, well, if things were a little bit more logical along everything, then maybe they would listen to the DUI billboard as not just a scare tactic, it's not just an FU.
Well, do you think we should make don't walk home drunk billboards now?
I mean, East Lansing, they did have a college student who tripped over a stick and fell his face first into a river.
We had a guy in my hometown get hit by a train. He's dead. You can't come back from that one.
If you get hit by a train, maybe maybe you're asking for it. It's not like a train can swerve. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I can
it's
beat
going
it.
one way.
Like what was going through his mind? Like I can beat this train, and then like his drunk. I don't know. We shouldn't be making. We're not making fun either. It's not funny. Just stating facts. It happened. Just want to don't beat the train drunk like Billboard.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Don't talk to the police
life,
when you're drunk. Billboard.
Right. Fucking
Right to
have
remain
some
silent
breakfast.
means you have to say, "I'm not saying anything. Take me to jail."
Yeah. Cops pull you over, ditch the weed billboard.
Nah, but it just seems like more instructions maybe, but they say fear motivates people, and that's cool too. But you know, like a picture of the Lifeboat Recovery podcast, you know, like boom, put you guys up there, or you know, 217 Recovery podcast, you know, having fun in recovery to let people know like you can have fun in recovery, and it might interest some people. I think it would do more good than a don't drive drunk billboard. Maybe, I don't know. I'm sure.
I mean,
there's somebody who makes a lot more
that's a
than
big problem in the recovery community. You know, people are pretty out of touch with so-called fun times, right? Like the way I help my friends get sober, because I drink alcohol. I've been known to smoke weed, blah, 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 but I'm not technically a person in recovery. However, I moved away from other things, right? The way I got my friends sober was, let's just go out and do something fun, man. You know, stuff that distracts you, stuff that is like legitimately a good time. And taking a 40-year-old to a trampoline park, you know, it's reawakening, man. I mean, you can have fun doing this shit.
I probably wouldn't go with you on that, but I'm 44. There's big difference between 40 and 44. Let me tell you, the hill is slippery.
What about bowling?
Bowling, not a fan of bowling.
I hate it.
Golfing,
I hate how much people love it.
Well, see, here's the thing on that, because I have a relative of mine who sees a man. I haven't met this guy, but a lot of red flags for me, being a former alcoholic, you know, and now a person in recovery. A lot of red flags, you know, and all the stuff that he does. Oh, he likes to play softball. Oh, he likes bowling. Oh, everything he does involves drinking.
Yeah.
Everything. You know, and it's like, oh, well, why didn't this work out with this, you know, last person? And oh, well, he plays too many sports. No, he doesn't play too many sports. He drinks too much. You know, like that's just basic fact. You know, could he go to a trampoline park and have fun? Nope. You put liquor in there. Oh yeah, that's the best thing ever.
Right.
You know, like you take the alcohol away from the bowling, the softball, the whatever it is, and he's not going to want to do it. It's not fun. I was the same way, man.
Right.
Like everything I did had to involve alcohol. And that's kind of one way to kind of hide it, you know, is no, well, we play so everybody drinks there, man. Oh, we go bowling. That's what we do. We drink and we go bowling, you know, and
yeah, have a beer.
I go to the movies, I get drunk. You know, that's what I used to do, you know, like it was bad. I go golfing. I hate golf. I realize that. I like getting drunk and hitting the ball and riding the golf cart. That's all. I don't like golf.
Yeah, for sure.
Nobody likes golf. Well, some people do, but it's bad for your back.
Everybody rides golf carts, but you have to hijack other golf carts while they're moving. You see what I'm saying? America is boring. People should be able to put themselves in harm's way. Sign the waiver, man. Get kicked in the nuts. Fucking set yourself on fire.
I only like being on fire when I'm drunk. I bet you that guy would show up to that. Hey, we're having a light yourself on fire party. It's gonna be a 2-kegger.
Got that one friend.
Gonna be a 2-kegger, man. Really? I'll be there. You gotta light yourself on fire. That's fine. They're gonna have a hard liquor there too. Or, oh yeah, you can even drink gasoline. What?
Everybody's got that friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. We'll just tip you upside down on one of those backboards and waterboard you.
With
Free
alcohol?
beer.
With beer?
Yeah.
Water? Oh man, that's the best game ever, bro. You don't know until you tried it, because you like almost pass out and you're like choking, but then the beer goes down and you start getting drunk. It's good, and you get like 8 shots before you do it, so you're good, bro.
We're trying to see who can put out the most cigarettes on their forehead. You get a beer per cigarette.
Oh, dude, can we pregame it? Oh yeah. You know.
Yeah. Start out with candles. Yeah.
I'm gonna go to a Lions game. We're going to tailgate with
Oh,
a bunch of beer. Oh, okay, cool then. Sounds fun. I'll be there. NASCAR. Let me watch NASCAR. Like, dude, I tried to watch NASCAR sober, and then I realized that just wasn't for me. And then I think, damn, how much time did I waste, man? And the only reason I was watching NASCAR is so I could tell the person I was with at the time that, well, that's why I'm drinking at 8 a.m. is because we're talking about Dale Jr. now. You know, I'm going to wait. And
do people actually like NASCAR, or is that the only place you can get away with fucking your sister?
I don't know about the sister thing, but I went to a NASCAR race, a couple of them, and beer was involved. And like, it was an excuse that I could have a beer with my eggs. Normally I wouldn't even eat eggs on the weekend. I'd just have the beer. But there I was like, oh yeah, I'm drinking early because we're at NASCAR. Like, that's what we do.
Right.
Again, an excuse. For someone who's listening now and maybe a family member, maybe a friend, take away the beer, take away the booze, and see how much fun that is. And they're gonna resist it. They're gonna think you're a asshole. They're gonna call you names, tell you that it's your problem and that it's just fun for them. And that's a tough one too. When to step in and tell somebody something, and nobody.
They will break it off.
Nobody ever won me over with that. Corey, you and your drinking. That I used to hate that. You and your drinking, man. And then my good friends stopped calling. They stopped answering texts. They stopped answering phone. Like, it just they went like, I've had enough. Like you say you drink, that's fun or fine, whatever, maybe both. But I'm sure, like, hanging out with drunk people who are blasted at 10 a.m. calling you, just, hey man, let me tell you about this idea I got, and you're just like, I don't have time for that, man. Like.
Yeah, my last buddy who, was this whole situation, because, like, I'm 26 now. Those were my 22, 23, 24 days, right? But it's still kind of, like, socially acceptable. Like you said, you go watch the game at 10 a.m., you're drinking, about to go out to the bar, better drink before you go out to the bar. No, the guy dropped dead from a heart attack.
Damn.
And he was brought back to life through resuscitation. His heart stopped for 5 minutes, and it was just like picked it right up, went on drinking again. And I was just like, dude, look at your friends. Your friends insult you. They don't invite you to stuff. You're always wondering why you're the odd man out here. And it's like, they only invite you when we're getting blacked out drunk. It's what a life to live.
Yeah, and for some people like myself, like, it started out partying like that, but it became more of me drinking by myself alone, and those are issues that I was drinking to numb other pains in my life. But it's real quick, and it happens, and before you know it, it's laundry day, I'm drinking, like, it becomes everything that you do, and it's very
pet fish.
It's a very slippery slope, man. It really is, and then you're kind of like, in my mind, I knew, like, okay, this is becoming a problem. But knowing people in radio that had problems with alcohol, like, I only heard the bad stories. I didn't hear the people that went to their boss and said, hey, I need to go get help, and went and got help. I heard that, hey, homeboy got on stage and said this and this about the sponsor. His ass got fired. Or this guy was driving the station vehicle drunk. He got fired. And you kind of get blackballed in the industry then. And so, like, drinking on the job, I used to do that when I was on the air, but, like, I would never drink if I went to, like, a bar and did a remote, and people would, like, hand me beers and stuff. I mean, maybe at first when I was in my career I did, but when I stopped drinking on the air, and I swore that I would never drink on the air again, I stopped, so people would pass me shots and I'm like, not doing it, because I didn't want to be blackballed. So, like, for me, it was really hard because I'm like, man, I think I have a problem, but I don't know what to do about it. And everybody had told me alcoholics were really bad people, so I don't really want to say I'm an alcoholic. I don't know what to do. And so I just kept drinking, and because that was the only thing that would stop the shakes and stuff. So then when the liver shut down and kidneys shut down, it was like, you can't really hide it. And the doctor comes and says, how long have you been an alcoholic? And I'm like, I'm not. He's like, well, I've seen your liver.
I mean, you can always do benzos and Adderall. That's an easy fix.
Yeah. The substitution thing, I tried with weed. Yeah. Oh, I'll just smoke weed. And that lasted like maybe a day or two. And then I was like, hey, you want to trade me a bottle for the rest of this weed? Because that's not what I want, right. And once you become that far into it, like, substituting doesn't work at all. And sometimes a buddy of mine was going through some legal issues, and where he couldn't use his drug of choice. So he picked up drinking, and I was like, dude, what are you doing? Then he comes back and he's like, I don't know how you drunks do it, man. He's like, this is worse than my drug of choice, and he's like, this is
intense.
Freaking horrible. And then, so when he's allowed to do his drug of choice again, because he's off paper or whatever, he then starts going back and he's still rolling with it today, and it's just like, dude, like, what happens to you people? You don't live very long. I haven't met anyone.
Lose all your teeth, man.
I haven't met anyone who's 90. It's like, man, I've been shooting up for years.
Right.
No, never met one.
I mean, even the Rolling Stones, right? Like, they quit.
Yeah. I mean, it gets to a point where it's like, okay, this it's not even fun anymore for people. Like when they do it. When I was drinking, I wasn't drinking for fun. The fun leaves real early on, but you're always kind of chasing that, and then you're just trying not to be sick anymore. It's tough, man. But so we want to talk about COVID a little bit.
I was there earlier in my 20s. I used, when I was in college, I was a pretty heavy drinker, but after a while, it was just way too intense. I mean, alcohol withdrawals are everything. I mean, they mentally start to take their toll, and by this time, I was actually starting to like pick myself up a little bit, stop working 3 jobs, because that's how you work 3 jobs, man. You get fucking drunk when you go home. Now I just have 2 jobs.
I'm glad you don't have to drink yourself to death now. But
yeah, me too.
But there's some people, like, you can have a beer. That's fine. I can't. And I accept the fact that I can't, like, there's no stopping for me. Like, it went that far with it. But
Right.
there are people, my father, not my father, he doesn't drink, but my stepfather, we go to dinner sometimes and he'll have a beer. For him, it's real hard because he kind of looked at me at one point and was like, look, man, you can just have 2 beers and be good, But like, he didn't understand that I can't stop.
Okay.
Like, and like
pull yourself up by the bootstraps mentality.
Yeah, just have 2 beers. See, you can do it. And in the meantime, I'm like, yeah, I got a pint in the car, bro. Like, I can't do it, And when I came to terms with that and accepted that, it became a lot easier for me. But like, there are people, and I don't expect them to understand, but just know that I cannot have a beer, and stay away from the first drink for me is the way to do it every day. And, but there are people like you, like my stepfather, like my mom. She can have a drink. She has a drink on New Year's or whatever, birthday or whatever, and that's fine. They don't have that compulsion for it, of like, my body's like, it's like Gollum, Lord of the Rings, man, my precious. It's my precious. Like that's what I turn into. And I'm a much better person when I don't drink. And my friends actually call me now and they text me and I call them and they answer. It's great. My family, the same thing, it's a good life, man. But I had to go through the dark times to see the light, and not everybody does though. Like if you started picking up a problem with drinking, well, your whole family's kind of involved in the recovery community. So like,
Yes.
I'm sure they would be like, hey, Noah, let's talk. And you would probably listen to them differently than I would listen to my mom, who's like, Corey, you and that drinking's got to stop. Or maybe you wouldn't. Maybe you'd do the same thing. Like, don't talk to me about it. And you have to go experience on your own.
I was always pretty physically capable, and I knew what the signs were, right? And so I had the ability to basically diagnose myself and basically say, like, you keep going down this road, you keep doing, packs of beer and fists of Jaeger, then you're gonna be right there too. And so I stopped.
Yeah, I'd say if someone enjoys beer, have one every couple weeks.
Go to the gym every single day.
Yeah.
That's the only way out, man. Yeah. Lift weights.
That's the only way.
I mean, that's how I got it done. I went to the gym every single day until the withdrawal stopped. And then I started working on stuff that I wanted to work on.
So you replaced it.
Yes.
You replaced it. And I've been talking about that a lot when I talk to the treatment center every week. I'm telling the guys, like, you got to replace it. And I've been saying this probably every episode for the last 2 weeks, but I compare it to ex-relationships, man. Like, you have that girl, you have that one, and you defend her. Your family hates her, but you're like, no, she's a good person. She's good. I love her. I love her to death. You just don't understand her, Mom. Dad, you just don't get her. But she's my love. If you don't accept her, then you don't accept me. and she's over here, and you're
Yeah, we can put ex-girlfriends on the list if you want to.
Yeah,
I got some good ones.
You can shelter the ex-girlfriend. You're going to protect her, from the family. You put this shield around her, and then things go south, and then you're like in this limbo area. You're like, well, I'm not with her no more, but I miss her. I miss her laying in the bed and cuddling. I miss when she farted after dinner or whatever you're missing. You're just missing something. You're just like, thinking back to yourself how great it was, and that's just kind of the same.
She still doesn't have a job.
No, but she's misunderstood, and she was trying. No, she wasn't. But you'll justify
trying to get passed around the room.
Yeah, but you'll justify it. Oh, she just made a mistake, But she's still that's my girl. I love her. Until you meet the next one, and the next one's actually got a job. She's got shit going on. She's actually way hotter and just a better person in general. And you're just like, I love this girl. And then you look back and you go, what in the F was I thinking? Why was I with that for so long? It's the same thing with, in my opinion, as a professional radio broadcaster, as recovery and drinking, or drugs. You stop the drug of choice, then you're in this limbo of like, but then you start thinking back to, oh man, I remember it was sunny days, and I remember doing laundry, getting drunk. It was so fun. You start having these false memories that take you back to these places, and then you're stuck in the limbo. So you have a choice. You can move forward. But a lot of people, like myself, I didn't know what I was going to do. I'll be a drug counselor. So I started going back to school for that. Quickly, I realized I don't want to be a drug counselor. So then I'm back in limbo. And I'm like, well, maybe I'll go back into radio, which is kind of like saying, well, I'll go back to the X, going back to the old lifestyle, going back to the old stuff. Until I found a purpose, until I found something to replace it with, which was the podcast that really helped me. When I was in sober living, started the podcast, I did it for myself. It's something I wanted to do. Once I started that gave me purpose. That let me move forward with my life, and then creating 217 Recovery, turning to a nonprofit, helping people. That is what replaced it. But until you can find something to replace it with, man, working out. Hey, if that replaces it, and some people, working out's addiction too. Sure, it could be. Hunting, yeah,
it is.
But it's still a lot healthier.
Well, that's the thing. I obsess about my health. You know what I mean? And when other people ask me, I'm not trying to cop $20 to get another bottle. I'm trying to cop $30 to get a gym membership with them. Come with me every day. Nobody's ever argued with me on that one. I'm a personal trainer, by the way. I don't know if I've said that.
Yeah, so if you're in the Lansing area, hit up Noah Powell.
Powerhouse East Lansing.
Yeah, I'm just going to be like, where's Noah? I want to get trained by him. I have a buddy who he has a limo company over there by you guys. I think we talked about it before. And he's blind. Just throwing that out there.
Dude, that's Lansing. I'm not even surprised. That's fucking Lansing in a nutshell.
No, but he doesn't drive though. but if you guys ever want to hook up with him, and he's in recovery. So if you guys ever want to hook up with him, or you need a limo to an event or something, like I was going to have him take us. I think I told you guys about that. I was going to have him drop us off at the event in Lansing. Yeah, the rally.
Hey, send him my way. We'll make something happen. Doors are open.
We still might do that. So the rally, what's going on with that? It's a rally that's in Lansing. It's the COVID year, they took it off. But it was the UFAM rally. Unite to Face Addiction, Michigan.
Yep.
Now,
a product of Face and Voice of Recovery. Yep.
So what is? It's in May usually.
I don't know.
You make it?
I don't know what's going on with it. I helped them. I helped them with their crew one year. They've got it handled, right? Like, as far as me showing up and contributing, I did. However, they'll come out with a save the date like 6 weeks before.
Okay.
So it's like that's when it happens. And it's a grassroots movement, so they're very interested in a very populist approach. So like anybody who can show up, and people just mark it on their calendars by now. Like they know that Unite to Face Addiction Michigan is in May every year. And so they just have the time blocked out, the funds set aside, although the event's not really formed until 2 months before. Swear on it.
Right. And a lot of that, though, has to do with funding, Like if you want to pay speakers to come from across the country, you got to pay those people to be there, and you have to have the funding. And you obviously working in the funding department there, like like sometimes it's, oh yep, we'll give it to you, and then you're like, okay, well we need to cut homeboy a check. Like you said 3 months ago that we're gonna get it. Now we kind of need it. Well, we're just trying to cross the T's and dot the I's, and you're like, well, I'm just trying to get this guy here because we got it on our flyer that he's gonna be here. And yeah, so
no comment there. I am aware of how that stuff works or went down, but the recovery community is both large and small, and the availability for people to put on an event like that, they did it out of the kindness of their own hearts. And it's a group of private individuals who don't work with corporations doing this in their free time. Yeah. So I mean, if you have kids, what kind of free time do you have? You know what I mean? And so I mean, they're really not sure if they're going to put on the event until 2 months in. I mean, last year they didn't have a flyer up until a week into the event.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know, just like you said.
Yeah, and I remember I made him, because I reached out to Scott, and I was like, hey man, like, I could do like this media stuff for you. I can put together like a quick little thing or something for you, and he's like, yeah, I didn't know that, and I was like, oh, I guess I could have made that more clear next time, like reach out if you need some help, like can kind of help you with that. But
Scott doesn't need help with anything. Scott's the man. He's the man in charge, dude. Nothing's getting in Scott's way. I tell you what. That's a bad motherfucker.
Well, yeah, that is. Now he's on the recovery board or something. Like he's the guy I need to talk to with all my complaints. Because like he does stuff in Lansing, right? Like
he's based out of Brighton, I think, but yeah.
But isn't he on some kind of board, recovery advisory board for the state or something?
Yes. I don't know what's public and what's not, so I'd more or less rather like stray away from that because it's a congressional level politic that is currently ongoing and currently very sophisticated. But I think he is on some kind of state level board appointed by Governor Whitmer and established by the Congress of Michigan.
Okay, I'm gonna look for that.
But like I said, I don't know what's public, so I'd rather not comment on it.
Is it the Congress of Michigan or the Senate of Michigan?
I don't know. The House body of Michigan. I mean, that kind of covers it, doesn't it?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like when somebody came to me the other day. So I used to be a bartender all throughout college, right? And somebody came to me the other day, and they're just like, hey man, what's going on with this business? I just noticed something. And in my head, I was like, oh shit, right? Like I have a very good eye on what's going on here, but it's other people's business, right? I mean,
yeah, but I should reach out because I'm reaching out to like the DHHS in Michigan and going, hey man, there's some holes in the crack. There's people falling through. Like we got to fix this, and up in northern Michigan, and we're not going to get political or anything, but in northern Michigan, things run pretty smooth because a lot of people want to be a part of the solution, and I think there are a lot of people involved in different aspects of the state, but the state gets broken up into different sections, and different sections of the state aren't treated fair, and they're not run the same. And it's because, I don't know, because somebody thinks that they're doing the right thing, but they're just not sure what the right thing is. They fake it till you make it, but they're just not really making it. And they're ending up not being a part of the solution. They're being more of the problem. And they would sit there and defend what they're doing to the death instead of accepting, okay, yeah, maybe we should change some things. And let's do it like this. But instead, they will sit there and argue with you and defend it to the death when you're saying the sky is blue. And they're going, it is not blue, it's white, and you're like, it's blue. Man.
I'm not touching that one.
You don't have to. I'm just making statements here. This is my experience.
They fund 80% of this agency. I'd just rather keep that one neutral.
I'm not talking about
don't
your
text
agency.
Scott Macy. Call him. You got to call Scott.
He texts me back.
What?
I'm just saying. Maybe he heard the open and with a name like Winfield, I should be a billionaire. So maybe he's like, billionaire Winfield. I should text him back real quick. But no, but those are the avenues that I need to start maybe looking into, because again, like I just assume that everybody knows like these problems exist, and that's the problem. I assume that everybody knows, and the people I'm reaching out to probably maybe are not the right people, and maybe I'm yelling at the wrong tree.
Well, talking to Scott, he is somebody who knows what's going on, and ask him, keep it shorter than 5 minutes. He's like extremely busy. The guy's wildly busy, but keep it under 5 minutes, and you can get some names and faces out of that guy, and he, it will be life changing for you. I mean, that guy is an agent of change.
Yeah, I'll send him a text.
Hey,
write me back, and they're like, "Hey, bro,
sorry." I'm pretty tactile and diplomatic in my responses, because I'm in like, I get the meeting notes from like 4 or 5 different boards, right? Like, I don't know who's pissed off today. I'm not trying to find out.
You should get on the Human Rights Commission there in Lansing. I did that in Traverse City. I think it was God wanted me on it. I'm just like, do I have time for this? But it's interesting, and like I had to meet with the mayor of Traverse City, and he's all like, why should you be on the board? I'm like, because I can change things. And then I started with the threatening, because people respond well to the fear. So I was like, well, because if you don't,
people need me.
If you don't, people are going to die every day in your city. He's like, okay, thanks. I guess they had nobody else. They're like, let's let the Winfield guy on.
The city could do a better job at, figuring stuff out.
Again, we're not getting political or nothing, but yeah.
I can't.
Go Lansing. Go Lansing. That's where all of our problems, policies start, right?
Bro, catch me off the air, and, it's pre-game. But if you're recording this, I'm pretty diplomatically neutral. Like I said, personally, I am basically a libertarian. Government's too big. Government also doesn't do what they're supposed to.
So where I think my whole life went wrong is when I was watching Sesame Street, and they had that song of "How does a bill get passed?" And the guy's like, "My name is Bill, and I'm a Bill, and I wait in the house," and that song was great, but there wasn't one for the state.
Yeah, House of Rock.
Yeah. But yeah, he's like, oh, you got to talk to your congressman, and that's how a bill starts. It starts, and then it gets to be a bill. Yeah, but there needs to be one for the state, because like I'm calling everybody from the state, and they're like, nope, it's not me. And I'm like, and they're like, nope, that's not my region. I'm like, like, so I go right to Whitmer and
watch the
Bill
SNL
Christ.
skit of Bill on the Hill.
I will.
You're gonna like that one.
I will. So how does
the bill get passed? What's that?
So not how does the bill get passed, but how is the recovery podcast going that you guys have? Because you're the producer for it, right?
Yes. Yup. So I'm the one usually doing the bookings and getting sponsorship and looking around. It's going really well. I mean, we've had a lot of high profile guests. Chicago Recovery Alliance, 217's obviously just a powerhouse. I mean, those guys are the biggest names. You want to go through Michigan, you go through us first. We've been getting a lot of interviews. They've actually helped influence our culture too. So Lifeboat is a pretty open source program. So we're allowed to try out different stuff and, really push the narrative forward. And when we talk with these other communities, it allows us to see what they're doing right and things that we can pull and, implement in our city. And, one thing to another, certain agencies might try to rip it all together, right, as they do. But we're just trying to create more of a collaborative environment because we're a very small staff. And so the more agencies we get involved in what we're doing, the better off we become.
You're open. It says we're funded by MDHHS.
Yep.
Does that play a lot into what you can say and what you can't say? Because like that's one thing that I'll never do is take money for this podcast, because it will change everything.
It does.
And that I don't ever want to do that.
Yeah. Well, it is. So like I said, I'm a financial professional, so I'm bound by a fiduciary capacity. So I have to act in the best interest of the organization in my personal life and my public life. So it's not really what I'm allowed to say or what not to say, but if I come under scrutiny because of some political thing that I've said, then that does breach my fiduciary duty.
That's one thing, and we kind of talked before we started this. It's like, man, I want to start a recovery community organization or network of podcasting, to where in Michigan, there's 16. You guys are a recovery community organization, so it's 217 Recovery. And there's 14 other ones, whatever. But like,
yeah, they're okay.
But like to have everybody on the same page with the same platform, the same ground, everything's level. Like you guys would get the same stuff. We would have the same equipment, like everybody. And now that one, because obviously we'd still do this podcast, but then we would have a different podcast for that. And that might get people confused. So we'd probably change the name of it. But like that one, it would be totally different. That is more structured. It would be 100% more structured. And it would actually deal with recovery issues. Like you could tune in every week to hear the recovery news or whatever you want to hear, and we could share that with each other.
Yeah, my honest opinion about that, just in my expertise, is like it has to be pulled out of the government sector, because if MDHHS is allowed to fund these things, then MDHHS is allowed to pick and choose. My backup for saying that would be the COVID-19 pandemic. The government now gets allowed to, who gets the rights here, who doesn't, and who gets the grant funding and who doesn't. So I think the only way to actually move past that is to create privatization of the recovery community, where people can buy subscription models, merchandise, and other services for a price. And, they can subsidize it if they want to, but otherwise it's going to be the same vanilla effect where bureaucrats, politicians will write the code for this, and they'll get to assign who wins and who loses.
So good idea, but just maybe not with grant funding is what you're kind of saying, because that would, if we're saying, hey, look, whatever issue is, or maybe there's an issue in Detroit, and they come out and they're like, hey, look, this needs to change, this needs to change. And next thing you know, the people that are funding us are like, wait a minute, you can't be saying that because that makes us look bad.
So I thought about this day and night. It's one of those things that keep you up at night. Well, I think the best way to move forward is if MDHHS put grants and funding into research services at college institutions, and then the college institutions would publish what privatization methods work, and then they were to assign 10 different organizations to implement this privatization method as a collaborative effort. But, college institutions actually don't really do the type of addiction research or the type of recovery community research that's necessary.
I could give you a lot of research. And that's the thing.
Oh, 100%. I mean, we all see the difference between these government implemented approaches. And while grant funding does work, and we are privileged to have the MDHHS grant, I think if we were to work with college institutions and other government funded, so like government funds research at colleges, they fund street level mechanics. Why aren't we combining these two approaches? Why are they very secular in their approach?
That's a lot for me to text to Scott, so maybe I'll ask him that in another one.
And to get something like that off would take 5 or 10 years, no doubt in my mind.
So we need what do they call the pre-stage grant? Like you can get millions of dollars just to like think about an idea. That's what we need, bro.
Right.
I'm gonna apply for this. I'm gonna apply like 4 different times for this grant that's due on Monday, and I'm gonna be like, I need about $6 million so Noah and I can just think about this idea for about 10 years.
Oh, dude, they should give $6 million to the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce should funnel a parallel study with other government NGOs, non-government agencies, such as Michigan State University and Michigan Works. And then they use the approach through RISE, Lifeboat, 217 to actually create the approach. You know what I mean? Chamber of Commerce, college, and government-funded work program goes into RCO. But instead, I'm sitting here emailing 20 people a week to tell them, oh, dude, it's flipping amazing. So one of my piece of background, so I got into finance and marketing through college. I sat on 5 different boards as part of human resource, business development, HR, human resource, AMA, business development, and then a college research panel. And this college research panel described that there was a lack of 2-year degrees in the workforce in the Lansing area. So, they're hiring. They need people coming out of LCC. But I swear to God, emailing 20 people a week to get Michigan Works and the Chamber of Commerce on the same page as Lansing Community College is somewhat impossible. I mean, whose dick do I have to fucking suck?
And it's just you can't. We're doing this on Zoom, and Noah, he got real close to the camera. Like he sat up in his chair. Like this is something he's very passionate about. I just wanted to explain that for people who's listening. Like he was up in his chair. Now he's taking a deep breath.
I mean, I've been studying job sourcing in the Lansing community for somewhere about 5 or 6 years now as a finance professional. And you know what I mean? Like nobody can get on the same page about this. Is laughable.
But not funny laughable. Like cry laughing in
Funny,
pain.
oh no.
Like just, like, you got to be kidding me. Like the sky is blue. I'm telling you. Like listen to me. It's challenging. A lot of people don't see that, like the behind the scenes work that the recovery community organizations and people in recovery are doing to better things, to make it easier for people. Like my thing is, man, I hate seeing people slip through the cracks. We're out here telling people, hey, if you need help, reach out. And then they reach out. And you made a good point earlier before we started the podcast is they reach out, they don't get the help they need. They're back living under a bridge or whatever, community that they're in, or homeless community, whatever it is. And they're telling people their horror story and don't even bother, because this is what's going to happen to you. And people believe that, and so here we come around again, because we go to the homeless shelter every week and we're like, hey, reach out for help. And then they do reach out for help. And then, they slip through the cracks and nope, never mind. Tried that. It sounds good. Those people are just out for money. That's what they think, and it's like, no, I'm not even getting paid for this. It's like,
well, and also, I mean, it develops a mental health issue. So, we expect culturally parents to be the most competent people in the family. They're the protectors, providers, all this stuff. If we're not being able to protect and provide for these people, then, they start to think, well, I'm out on my own. It's a jungle out here. I have to be pulling myself up by the alcohol straps here. And, one thing leads to another. And now they're mentally ill because, everybody's against them. And now they're developing some kind of antisocial tendencies.
It's tough, but we got to keep pushing forward. And it's a very daunting task for people in the recovery community who want to change things for the better, who want to be a part of the solution. And we just can't give up, man. Like at the end of the day, like I may be frustrated, but it could be a lot worse, and at the same time, I'm like one of those guys who, and you can talk to this man named Daryl at DHHS, and he'll tell you that I do not give up. I even tell him, hey, bro, I know this isn't your job, but you're the only person that will answer my stuff. So here you go. Like, you want me to pass on info? I'll pass on info all day. But it's.
Yeah, not only that, I mean, I think the recovery industry, because I mean, when we talk about like markets, so to speak, we can talk about, I don't know if I mentioned this as of on the podcast, but the Black community, they have a very culturally sound approach. You know what I mean? Buying Black businesses, supporting Black people, getting Black education, like historically Black institutions. That is a very positive and uplifting message. So I think that the recovery community has yet to find their renaissance in doing something like that. And, in the next 10 years, I believe that the recovery community will be something to buy into. It'll be a stock. It'll be something that people can trade and, make it a profitable business model to see real investment.
So we just need $6 million, about 10 years. We'll come up with something, and we'll do it on a boat.
I see 2 chickens, a mule, and 40 acres, and I'll get this done.
Yeah. From our apartment in Dubai.
Yeah.
Or maybe
easy.
Maybe Florence. I don't know, wherever our other apartments or places are at. Yeah, just kidding about
wherever
that.
Drake's from.
Canada. Yeah, Toronto. Yeah, we need a loft there just to kind of make sure everything's going good. Because that's where the best research is done that we've heard. We did the research on the research about the best place to do research. And then.
Right. If I'm living in a higher building, that means like I'm more esteemed. So I can see what's going on.
I think better when I look down on people. I'm not going to put that in the grant, but no, we're just kind of joking about that. But it's been real fun talking with you today, man. It's been a minute since we caught up. I think the last time that we saw each other was in Lansing in May. I think we've texted a few times maybe since then. But yeah, it's always good to catch up with you guys. I like you guys a lot. Tell Christian and Hunter I said what's up. Or don't.
Oh, I will. Yeah. I mean, I honestly didn't tell them about the podcast till last minute today because I was just like, they're super busy right now. Yeah, I mean, where's my spotlight, right? Like, I do the work all the time.
You got to get yours. But it's been, it's been fun though, man. And yeah, I'll put something in for a little Recovery Community Podcast Network. If we get it, that's cool. If not, hey man, at least I tried something. And I think it really would be good for everybody to have their same voice. And, you know, I can go and instruct people, hey, here's what to do. Here's how you use this, whatever, help you sub your equipment. You guys could probably figure it out. But at least to give you guys some really good equipment and some really, and you don't have to use egg cartons on your wall. You know, you can get some sound densening stuff and really kind of help everybody out. So that way everybody sounds the same. Everybody feels more professional, you know, and for those people who don't have one right now, they just think, oh, I'd love to start a podcast, don't know how, you know, and for me to just kind of come in and go, hey, look, this is what we use. This is what we do. This is how you do it. There you go. Let me know if you have any questions, you know, and that way everybody can kind of get their voice out. And like I said earlier, like even share news, you know, like if somebody in Detroit, like a news guy is in recovery and he's like, hey, I want to do a news report every week on the things that are happening in recovery. And they pass it along to the 16 of us, you know, we all get to air it in our podcast. I think that'd be great.
So another thing that we've been trying to throw out there is recovery-oriented classes. So this idea has been thrown around a couple times, and then it's got revamped and thrown back in and taken out. But somebody who could really benefit from the podcasting method is we have financial empowerment classes that are done for recoveries. We have job skills that are done for recoveries. How to get angel trained, put yourself inside the network. You know, the people facilitating those could really use a podcast network.
I'll see. Well, I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, do your thing, man. I'm always here for you.
I'll put some stuff. I'll make it sound good. I'll use good words like power and voice and
that's it.
You know, study. Research. I'll just throw some stats
Collaboration.
out. Only 2% of all the recovery community organizations have a podcast. Them's the stats they want. So that means you're reaching 0.01% of the whole recovery community organization's population.
Yeah, I mean technically I think it's 6.5% of Americans are struggling with SUD disorder. So it's like, you know, I think the math was some 18 million, 20 million people are inside of this market, you know, but only 100,000 of them, maybe 500,000 of them are actually like actively engaged in the network. Right. And so when we talk about these DUI postage boards, my generation doesn't care about the institution like that. You got to say something funny. You know what I mean? Like dropping the bar of soap as a DUI billboard. Yes. That would be catchy. People would actually be like, oh shit, like I'm linking the steps now.
Yeah, I can just see it if like there's two gentlemen on their way to the bowling event or maybe to go play softball and the guy about to drive had a little too much and the passenger goes, hey, Bill, you don't want to be the guy dropping the soap, do you? Give me the keys. You know, like I could see that happening, you know, as opposed to a guy going, hey, man, don't drink and drive as they pass the billboard because they didn't remember like, hey, homeboy probably shouldn't be driving.
It's just like a flash. It's a flashing of them getting like hosed down and sitting squatting, squat and cough.
I can just see the jails having shit fit over that. Well, you can't say people are getting raped in here. Why? They are.
Yeah, go to jail, get Epstein.
Yeah, whoa, too much.
Just a picture of jail food would probably put most people over the edge.
A bologna sandwich, the bologna wrapped on the outside.
Little grits.
Ugh, that's gross. But anyway,
that's what I'm saying. You know, they categorize it as like getting arrested or like, you know, you're gonna miss out on all these things. No, like give them the real picture. Give them the real picture. Like, you know, guards don't actually protect you in prison. You know, like then you have to be a gang member.
Yeah.
Like, do you want face tattoos? Don't drink and drive.
There you go. Noah Powell. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you being on the podcast today. Like I said, to your cohorts, I said, what's up? And yeah,
for sure, dude.
Keep in touch, bro. And if you ever need anything, I'm here.
Love it, Corey. Thank you for all your time and everything you do. You guys are the feature podcast on that recovery page for lifeboatnetworkcenter.org, by the way.
Appreciate
that.
It's at the bottom. Nobody knows it's there, but it's getting better.
Thanks for listening to the 217 Recovery Podcast. For more episodes plus bonus features, download the 217 Recovery app and support recovery by rating us in the App Store.